Radio Retro Future.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Bonset of Radio Retro Future. Thank you for tuning in to this beginners panel for steampunks. I changed the intro because I was having audio problems, so my voice sounds a lot deeper and dopier than it usually does. That's why I decided to change the intro, so you won't be bothered as much by it. Now, short recap. This panel is about the steampunk community and costuming. If you have questions regarding steampunk art, literature, or the genre in general, I suggest you check out the Steampunk Beginner's Guide here on Radio Retro Future. It's a documentary of 8 episodes. If you have questions after that, please ask them in the comment sections or ask them underneath this video. And with that out of the way, I'm going straight to the questions I asked during the panel. Enjoy! Also, I want to avoid the question in this panel, what is steampunk? As I invite these people to present their vision, not the vision that we think people ought to have on what steampunk is. There's a reason why the model of this channel is make it your way. So there. And with that being said, I suggest we go to our panelists for a quick introduction. Let's start with you, Marissa, and then we go to Brad. Marissa, could you give a short description of who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So hello everyone, I am Marina, the creative mind behind Omarisha, my own costume design label. I'm based in Germany, even though I'm Russian, and I make all kinds of costumes, steampunk included.
I'm Brett King, Brett King Steam. And I've been doing steampunk costuming and making for about 6 years. And I do all sorts of costumes and crazy contraptions.
All right.
And talk about it at conventions, like TeslaCon, where I'm at today.
Well, in that case, we'll just go to the first question. We have a number of submissions, other have been proposed by the people who are participating. And the first topic I thought we should discuss is what type of activities can be found within the steampunk community, both online and offline, because I think, me personally, that there's a misunderstanding that steampunk is limited to just dressing up. So my question to you is, what else can be done with steampunk? Marissa, would you like to start?
Sure. Well, I think there are a lot of events, like trade fairs and festivals and concerts and themed events, parties. All kind of steampunk picnics are very popular in Europe, at least. So these are, of course, brilliant activities to dress up to and be seen and photographed and meet fellow steampunkers at. But otherwise, I think you can basically just dress up and go anywhere, because steampunk is such an elegant style that it can easily be adapted into your daily life, and you can go have coffee with your friends and have a little steampunk accessory, if not the full outfit.
All right. Some people are complaining about audio feedback. So can you turn down the volume of your speakers if that's possible? All right. Brett, what's your 2 cents?
Yeah, so the same in the United States. We have, in addition to lots of steampunk conventions, which are great ways to get started in steampunk. There's you don't necessarily have to be in the costuming side to get into steampunk. There's lots of people that are into the crafting side that make jewelry or steampunk lamps or things like that they sell at trade fairs. But I think it's more fun when it's participatory and we have a local steampunk group that does picnics twice a year. There's a ball at New Year's every year that all the local steampunks go to, and then we go to not just steampunk conventions, but science fiction conventions. There's always a few steampunk activities going on at those that we like to go to. And even at maker fairs is another good place to showcase steampunk works and things that you've made.
All right. Well, I see Beth, her camera moving. I'm going to suggest for her to go to audio only. Maybe that will work. All right. With that out of the way, I guess I'll just tune in as well on the topic. Well, as for what I think what can be done with steampunk outside of costuming, we can, like I myself, do a lot of audio drama these days. I make a lot of video these days. That's also how I draw in a lot of my friends into my projects. Let's see if there are any questions in the chat yet. There's a lot of chatting going on, so give me a moment.
Now.
Oh, Bess, is that you?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, great. We started to miss you. Well, as Marco states in the chat, yes, you can also play in a steampunk band, so there's that as well. Yeah, Bess, did you
We need
hear
more of those.
We probably do, yeah. Bess, did you hear the question? Did you hear the topic?
I did not.
All right, I'll repeat it for you. What type of activities can be found within Steampunk Community, both online and offline? Because there is a lot of misunderstanding that steampunk is just limited to dressing up. So, what is your thoughts on that?
Steampunk is more about re-examining a time period. So it's not just about dressing up in that time period, it's also about researching the activities of that time period and sort of making them modern, making them fun for today. There certainly are a number of steampunk specific activities that could be done, such as tea dunking competitions where you dunk cookies until they fall apart and the person whose cookie falls apart the least, Oh no, did I go out again?
No, you were audible. Don't worry.
So there are several ways.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
But
There are
maybe you
several
could,
ways, to sort of make things fun. I mean, if you want to have a steampunk themed party, for example, then there are a million games that you could play. I mean, if you just, look up online, old Victorian games, and you could put a modern twist on them. A lot of people do things like that. Some people have, steampunk vehicle competitions where they'll dress up bikes or cars and race against each other. There are, as anything you can imagine doing, there's a steampunk way to do it. And I think that, dressing up is just the tip of the iceberg. But I didn't get to introduce myself earlier, so I make jewelry and costume accessories. And if you go to steampunkparliament.com and sign up for my free email, you'll see that I'm also coming out with a video soon and a Black Friday sale. So definitely check that out. I also I produce t-shirts and I have a merch website as well. So come check me out and we'd love to have you. There's always something going on at Steampunk Parliament. But so I think that's, steampunk is about creativity and it's about combining things that you wouldn't think would go together.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. Now, the big question is, of course, how to get started with steampunk. That is one of the questions I get most. So I'm gonna ask every one of you to tell you how you got started, because there's so many things you could suggest on that topic. So I want to stick with how you did it, and maybe also did you make a mistake when you got started with that? Something you wouldn't recommend other people doing. Marissa, why don't you start?
Right, so I think first time I came across steampunk must have been 2008, maybe 7, and I was at a historical event in Finland, dressed in a full Victorian bustle with a nice little hat, and there was a photo booth called Atelieri o Happala. They're a Finnish couple who are photographers in this neo-vintage cabinet photography style. And they had this with the Zeppelin and also Victorian outfits, but they were like travelers with And the style looked so different. It was Victorian and historical, but at the same time it was something else, maybe very technical, somehow scientific. So we took those pictures together and we got to talking and they explained their concept. And I thought, okay, maybe my outfit is not, could have been a bit stepped up for this photo shoot. So I started researching and paid some attention at other festivals, what other people are wearing. And it was, I think, the beginning then. But as for mistakes, I think a lot of people just think, oh, slap some goggles on it and, get some funny top hat and a bubble gun, paint sprayed. So I think you should stay away of things like this. Nowadays, there are so many things you can put together or put apart and rebuild in a different way, like Bess said, about being inventive and creative and remaking things. So I think try to think really outside the box in that way.
So I got started in steampunk through the convention scene. I saw some people dressed as steampunks at Dragon Con back in about 2009. And then about 2 years later, I decided I would try it myself. And I picked up a copy of a book called The Steampunk Bible by Jeff and Ann Vandermeer and kind of looked through that for inspiration of costumes, and then put together a costume and went to my first convention. I think it was Anachronistic in Georgia. It was a steampunk convention. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then I met lots of great people there. Steampunks are great people to meet in person. And they're very welcoming, and so it was very easy to get involved in the community. As far as mistakes goes, I would say the only kind of mistake I've made in steampunk, and I continue to make, is when I make things, I sometimes make them too heavy or hot or impractical. So I'll make a gun out of wood or brass or something like that, and it gets heavy to carry some of those things around all day. So think a little bit about practicality if you're putting together your first costume.
Thank you. Bess, are you still with us?
I am, hopefully.
Okay. Well, what are your thoughts?
Well, I got started in steampunk a little bit later. I came to it through the craft world. I started out doing crochet, actually back when I was going through some hard times and I needed some food money, to be honest. I lived in New York, and I had a bag of embroidery floss and a crochet hook, and I taught myself how to crochet lace jewelry, and I sold it on the street. And I did that until I got arrested one day for it, because apparently you can't do that without a license. So then I started looking into places I could go and not get arrested to sell my crochet. And that's eventually how I found the Steampunk Community. And I never looked back. I fell in love with it. I moved to Jersey. I got started with the Steampunk World's Fair. I worked with them for a little while. And I grew my own business, steampunkparliament.com. There you can go and see all of my crochet creations as well as my illustrations. And I mean, I have to say, when I found steampunk, I felt like it fit me. I always loved Renaissance fairs. I always loved history. But when I met the steampunk community, I felt like these are my people. These are library dorks. These are the people who are interested in sort of, historical reenactment and just, loving the past, but making it modern as well. And so I really think I found, my stride there.
All right. Thank you all. Now, for the next topic. Oh, wait, what?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh my gosh.
Well, welcome.
Magic.
Yes.
I had to reconfigure my entire computer.
Oh, all right. Well, you succeeded. So, yes, welcome to the stream. Can you quickly introduce yourself for the audience?
My name is Clee Maid.
All right. So did you hear the question, the last topic?
I did not. I am sorry.
All right. No, that's okay. The big question: how to get started with steampunk? Now everybody go do it differently. So the question is, how did you do it, and what were your beginner's mistakes?
I looked at a lot of historical pictures. I wanted to see what people actually wore at that time and how I could modernize that. My biggest mistake was not using the proper fabrics. I think that right.
All right. Well, in that case, I think we can go to the next topic. If somebody needs help, where can they ask? Where to look for a helping hand? I was combining several questions there. Where can I also find fellow steampunkers? Where to meet people? Where to socialize and show off my creations? Well, this time let's start with Bess and then we go the other way. Oh, Bess is out again. Okay, Malson, let's continue with you.
Facebook is a great place to start. There are a lot of steampunk per state. Like there'll be a Connecticut Steampunk Association in New York, or Hudson Valley Steampunk, New Jersey Steampunk. So start locally. Don't be afraid to travel.
Yeah, I agree with starting locally. Meetup.com is a good place to search for local steampunk groups, or Facebook. We're looking for local Facebook groups. There are some websites that I haven't used as much lately, but Steampunk Empire website, Brass Goggles in the UK are good kind of online communities for connecting. But you want to see if there's a local gathering first, and if not, then find a convention that's within drivable distance and go check that out.
All right. How about you, Marissa?
Well, of course, online nowadays is the easiest place for all kinds of groups and interests. And I think you can, of course, always ask one of us. We all have web pages and Facebook pages, so you can always ask us. We're always happy to hear from you. But like I said, here in Germany, for example, steampunk picnics is a huge thing. There is almost at every festival, and if not, you can always organize your own. Just say, we are meeting in this park, such and such. Happy to see you there. And it's great. It's free. Anybody can make. All you need is good weather or an umbrella, and good to go.
All right.
Always invite a photographer.
All right. Well, we're going to the topics fast. If there are
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, Bess, you're back again.
Hi. Sorry.
Yeah.
I did hear the last question. I could just briefly interject if you'd like.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Great. So I agree about the steampunk Facebook groups. I think that's a great way to get connected with your local communities as well as the international community. That's where I met you, Bonsard, as well as a number of people I ended up working with in IRL, I guess. So, that's an excellent way to get started. I specifically recommend the Steampunk Revolution group. Is a very large and general group and a great way to meet a lot of people in the community. I also specifically recommend United We Steampunk, Divided We Fall, which is a group by my friend Phoebe Darkling, as well as the group Steam Base Punk, which is also run by the Steampunk Journal, and those are some great places to get started. And of course, if you're interested, please message me on Facebook, message me on Twitter, Instagram, or just through my email on my website, and I'm perfectly happy to hook you up with some people, and we'll be friends. I love making friends.
Yes, and for a quickly shameless plug here, you can always go to the Steampunk Beginner's Guide here on Radio Retro Future for a very general overview of everything that's going on in steampunk. Maybe in the future we'll make some more specific videos on getting started with the hobby. But yeah, that was the shameless plug.
There are also really good books available DIY.
Could you recommend some?
Well, if Thomas were here, he wrote.
Yeah, Steampunk Adventurer's Guide is one of Thomas' books.
Yes.
And the Steampunk Guide to, Curious... I'll have to find the name of his other book, but the Steampunk Adventurer's Guide is one targeted at kids.
All right, I have his DIY book somewhere here, but not sure where right now.
YouTube also does a lot of DIY.
Yeah. Also, I could recommend, well, we all know the Steampunk Bible by Jeff Vandermeer. Personally, I would recommend the Steampunk User Manual by the same author. I like that one better, personally. And then there, I don't know if it's still in print, but the Steampunk Gazette. But that's more kind of... somebody called it a saloon book because it has all these photos and stuff like that. So it's really a good book to have around when someone comes by. Hey, what is this steampunk thing? You can just hand them over this book with countless examples and expressions of steampunk. So those are 3 books I could recommend. There's also Vintage Tomorrows. I had the writers on my show once. But that's more about steampunk versus futurism. Really interesting topic. And they also have a documentary, which is on some sites, but I'd have to look that up. But yeah.
There's also steampunkjournal.org has, I believe, a series of articles about how to get started in steampunk. It's a great resource.
Oh yeah, there's a lot on the internet to find. Let's see. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat right now. Yeah. Right. Oh, Malson just left us. Well, it happens. All right. Oh, there she is again. Yes. Okay, next topic. Do I have to actually make my stuff? What tools and skills can I start with, and how to work yourself up from there? So yeah, also where can I find my raw materials? I kind of grouped those questions together again. Marissa.
Well, I prefer making my own stuff. I think it's a lot of fun. You can also get together with other people to co-create things together. So, and that way you're guaranteed to get something unique, outstanding, that fits your vision and idea of steampunk perfectly. If not, of course, there are plenty of people like ourselves who are happy to help. But I would encourage your own creativity. Make your own. At least try. And I think one of the best things of steampunk that you cannot make it wrong. Nobody can tell you that this is not how original steampunk of 1902 did it. So that's a cool way to be inventive.
All right, Brett.
So I would say you can kind of get things for your costume from 3 different sources. You can make it yourself, you could buy it from a vendor, or you could find something at like a flea market or a vintage store that you could reuse. And so I think it's always fun and really in the steampunk spirit to try and do it yourself, as Marissa mentioned. And you can start with a small project. Most people start with a Nerf gun and go up from there for a steampunk kind of thing. But you could do goggles or a piece of jewelry or just whatever you're comfortable with from a skills perspective in trying out yourself. And then you can add to it with some things that you buy from from people that make steampunk accessories on Etsy, or better yet at a convention. The vendors rooms at conventions are great places to buy things that you can't make yourself. Not everybody can sew or has leather skills, so make what you can and try to buy something else from somebody that makes things you like, and then go to the flea market or the thrift store and round out your costume with that. So I think any of those are good ways to get started. And as far as making something, just pick something that's within your skill set. Pick up one of Thomas's books on how to make accessories, and then build your skills from there. YouTube, and there's lots of great resources out there for building your skills in different, whether it's metalworking or leatherworking or whatever, to be able to build your own steampunk contraptions and accessories and costumes.
All right, thank you. Molson. Clay.
My favorite is the Salvation Army or thrift stores. As he said, not everybody can go. Not everybody's brave enough to start, with just a piece of fabric. So you go in and you find something that fits you, and you can start altering it and adding to it and playing with it, upcycling it. And you can have so much fun that way and spend so little money.
All right, thank you. Bess.
Yes, well, my first impulse is to say buy indie, because I am an indie artist myself, and I know we all are. If you have the money, please support us. Honestly, we work very hard, and we could probably sew better than you, no offense. But if you want to do DIY costumes, I think there's a lot of great resources online you can take a look at. I think thrift stores, as has been said, is a great place to start for pieces as well. But honestly, it's about what you'd like to be. I mean, there's no sort of set steampunk uniform. There's no, you could go as a steampunk pirate. You could go as a steampunk gentleman. You could literally steampunk a modern outfit if you like. It's all about the details. It's all about, your own creativity and what you bring to it. So even if you do end up buying a few items from a steampunk vendor, you incorporate it with some things maybe you made yourself or altered yourself. I mean, you could even get a pair of pants and paint them with fabric paint to make it look steampunk, or put stripes down it even. I mean, it's all about how you put the outfit together. That's where the creativity lies.
All right, thank you. Well, we're burning through the questions, so that's good. I didn't think it would go this effective. Let's go to chat real quick. Question by Rika Tutdinge. What has been your favorite gadget and costume idea of all times? Bess, let's start with you.
There is a picture of Steampunk R2D2 going around. I think there are a couple of them.
Yeah,
that's up there, and Steampunk Daleks. I absolutely love Doctor Who, so those would probably be my favorite. And then the other ones are the ones that I make myself. You go to my website and check that out. So.
Well, I thought I was a self-plugger. Well, Molson.
Things that I like in general, or things that I like now?
Let's see. What has been your favorite gadget, costume, or idea? So.
Probably wasn't mine, but little thumb drives that were like steampunk, and they were just so much fun. I have like 3 of them. I am not responsible for making any of them.
All right. Brett, what's your favorite idea?
So the favorite thing I created is probably this character that I'm in now is Gustav Danielsson, Arctic Explorer and Troll Hunter. I created the character about 5 or 6 years ago, and I've just had a lot of fun with it because there's lots of ideas of how I can expand it, and I've done lots of panels in character about Gustav's, explorations in the Arctic, and made lots of neat contraptions and things that Gustav would carry on his adventures. This is Gustafsson, his little troll that he found in the Arctic. So I've had a lot of fun with this concept and character, and that's probably the favorite thing that I've done. But my favorite steampunk thing, and I don't know if they consider it steampunk, but in Nantes, France, is La Halle de la Machine. and it's where Jules Verne was born, and I got to visit it in person last year and rode their giant, I think they call it the Sultan's pachyderm. It's a 40-foot tall mechanical elephant that can carry about 30 people, and it drives around the amusement park and blows water out of its trunk, and it's just the most fantastic contraption you can imagine. So that's probably my favorite steampunk thing.
Yeah, I know that elephant. Just look it up if you are not familiar with it. Steampunk elephant, you'll find it guaranteed, because that thing is magnificent. Marissa.
Well, in steampunk, I love those gadgets that actually function, like those mechanical arms or top hats that have the top off and there's actually some steam and stove coming out. I find them so genius. How do they connect and actually carry, and they function, and at the same time they can still spend the day at the festival, eat, use their phone, I've seen also in Leipzig, there is this Gothic Treffen festival. Some guy made a mechanical steam rat. So it's a toy in a way, but it's quite huge. And you feel it cold and the steam comes out and the rat runs. And it's so amazing. It's about the size of my dog, but it's like this mechanical. So I love those kind of things. And from the things that I've made, I currently have in the making a full Victorian bustle outfit made out of newspaper. And even though it doesn't fly or make any steam, but it's as if she made her outfit, and it's very elegant, very fitted, with a full bustle, bum, and it's made out of newspaper. So to me, this is this kind of elegant lady take on steampunk.
All right. Okay, a question I got from the YouTube comments section by Elizabeth Steam. I think she's also in the chat. Hi there, Bonser. Just one question. How do you think a Steam Goth Queen or Princess should look like? Marissa, I imagine this is a good one for you.
Oh, I think she will have a lot of very impressive jewelry, but made out of the most unexpected parts. So there could be all kind of clockwork and mechanisms. So she's not just the queen, but she is the queen of the machines, and she controls them all. I would imagine there'll be a lot of those. But at the same time, the outfit will be very feminine and very dramatic. But with a hint of a historical outfit, definitely. I love bustle skirts, so I would definitely give her a huge one.
All right, thank you. Malson, what are your thoughts?
First thing that comes to my mind is a crown.
All right. Any further elaboration on that, or?
I've made a couple. I like using clock arms, clock hands.
Okay.
Oh, that's really good.
All right. Bess or Brad, do you have anything to add on that?
I think I imagine a Gothic Queen, and I thought of the crown as well, like inspired by Gothic architecture. Ironwork, Gothic ironwork, that's very elaborate and detailed Gothic curves and arches and things like that incorporated into the crown, I think would be really stunning.
Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, I'm reminded of Warhammer 40k with all their Gothic-looking nobles. I think it also might be a good place to look for inspiration on a Goth Queen.
Actually, if you want a really good inspiration, look up Paige Gardner, Costume Art, at Costume Art on Facebook. And she is a costumer that does some amazing steampunk Gothic costumes. She has a Warhammer, a couple of Warhammer Gothic costumes, and she's got one called Abby that's got a huge high crown with stained glass in it. It's amazing. So.
Is that real stained glass? Because I know which one you're talking about. If that's glass, that thing looks heavy.
No, it's actually, she got the pages from a stained glass coloring book. And so it's paper, and she put it inside and colored it and lit it up from behind, and it has an amazing effect. It looks like stained glass, but it's paper.
Yeah, that looks. Her costumes, most of her costumes look amazing of all those I've seen. So, yeah, I suggest you look her up regardless. What was her name again?
Paige Gardner, but it's at Costume Art.
All right.
I believe it's her Facebook page.
All right. Then let's get back to the other questions. Yeah, it's actually one of the last ones I have. It really went a lot faster than I anticipated. How would you explain steampunk to people who never heard about the genre? Also, what happens at steampunk events? I put those together because I'm sure we end up on the same topic otherwise. Marissa.
How would you explain? I always say it's like, imagine Queen Victoria traveling to space. So she will need the safety, the helmet, the full costume, but at the same time she's very elegant and regal. So how would you make a spacesuit that's worthy of a queen in 19th century? So I would say it like this, and usually people get some kind of first idea. And as about events, well, I think we all like to show off what we've made and to see what others have made. So first of all, it's a very good platform to do that, exchange of ideas, see what others. And then there's usually bands, so you can see some music, and that's what I commented earlier, that we definitely need more bands in that style. Also with costumes where we can get more ideas and more weird sounds, things like that.
All right. Brett.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
How would you explain steampunk to somebody who doesn't know what it is,
sure.
and describe the parties or steampunk events?
Yeah, so I have to do this all the time because I'm frequently showing steampunk things at maker fairs and in public places that aren't steampunk events. And so, for those of us who have been in steampunk for a long time, we're kind of used to it, we know what it is, but still, 80% of the general public doesn't know the word steampunk. And so I start off by saying it's Victorian-inspired science fiction, and then I try to find some piece of pop culture that they can identify with. If they're, maybe a little bit older, I'll mention 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the old Disney movie, or, the books by Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, The Time Machine. I'll mention the Wild Wild West TV show or movie with Will Smith. That's been more modern kind of thing. And so I try to find something that, that they can connect with. It's like, because most people, once they see a steampunk thing, they'll recognize it. They just didn't know it had a name. So that's how I try and connect people to it. I like the idea Marissa mentioned of getting somebody to sort of imagine a scenario that would get them thinking about what steampunk could be, because that's got a kind of a creative aspect that's really important in steampunk. So I like that approach too.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I'm back.
Bess is back. Okay. Did you? Before I get to you, Malson, how do you explain it?
I also use Vernesian as a definition, fathoming never getting out of the steam age of Victoria. Events. Yes, it's a place to go show off and meet people, and some of the most chaotic and peaceful events all at the same time. I've never seen a fight or any discord, but at the same time, we know what happens, but it's never visible.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Bess, did you hear the question?
No, sorry.
Okay. How would you explain steampunk to people who never heard about the genre, and could you describe what happens at events?
Okay. Well, I usually say it's when like Jules Verne meets sci-fi, meets a little bit of Doctor Who. I think that it's essentially what you make it to be. I hate defining it as Victorian and Anglo-centric because there are steampunkers from all over the world and steampunk stories and art from every country you could think of. And I think that it's really a celebration of a time period more than a locality. So you can sort of say everything from maybe the late 1700s to like the early 1900s would be classified as fodder for steampunk. But it's important that it's not just history. It has to be something a little bit different, a little bit creative, a little bit punked. So, it's a very general genre and a very inclusive community. I've gone to many events myself. I love the people that I meet there. And if you can afford it, go to an event by you. The internet is a great place to find them. If you can't afford it, then I would go to the websites of the events themselves and see if you can find live video streams and interact that way too, because there's a lot of that going on, and it's really a great way to stay included if you can't attend.
A lot of these events will also accept volunteers.
That's true. That's absolutely a great way to get involved.
That is actually how I did my first steampunk event. I volunteered and helped with the organization. Now I usually kind of support the organization from the side by promoting it and stuff like that. Yeah, thank you for that. Another question from the chat by Elizabeth Steamguff. Again, how can I communicate with steampunk fans if I don't want to have Facebook? I think that's a very good question. Bess, why don't you start?
Well, that's kind of mean of you because most of my steampunk efforts are through Facebook.
I know.
But Instagram is also another great platform. Twitter maybe also. But if you really just are not into the internet, then events are the way to go. Events are the way to get connected with people. I think that there are certain things that you can find locally, even at museums. Small gatherings are even a great place to get started. So just keep your eyes peeled for what's in your community.
All right. I may have some alternatives for online communities. I myself am very active on the app Animo. It has a very active steampunk group. So that's something you might want to look for. I also have a lot of new subscribers from the page, so I hope some of them are here tonight or today, depending on your time zone, of course. And I like Animo in general. As far as that's concerned. Also, there's a lot of steampunk groups on Discord, also for role-playing games. I noticed there are a lot of online steampunk roleplays on Animo, but also on Discord. You can look for gaming communities like Iron Harvest, which is a game that's currently in development. There are some games that have steampunk mods that also operate through Discord. So yeah, I also have a Discord, the Radio Retro Future Discord, so that's a place where you can look. Some of the people in this very chat are members of that Discord, and then there is the Retro Futurism Discord that deal with various types of retro futurism. So Discord and Animo, I know there are active steampunk groups on Reddit as well. Yes, somebody also noticed that in the chat. And I'd like to say there is on YouTube, but currently I'm the biggest channel right now I'm aware of. So yeah, YouTube is virgin soil in regards to that, but who knows where it will end up. Any of the other panelists who have some knowledge, who are internet savvy enough?
Well, you mentioned games. We haven't really talked about that, but there are a lot of steampunk games out there, both role-playing games and board games.
Board games, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, role-playing games. There's
even How to Host a Murder. There's even a steampunk How to Host a Murder.
Oh,
yeah. So anyway, whether it's let's see, Tefra or Space 1889 or any of the various steampunk board games, your local game store may have games going on or may have them in their game library that you can go and play with people, play steampunk games with people and get kind of connected to it through that way as well.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it might be a good idea if there is a specific niche you're interested in, like video games or board games or any other particular topic, and combine it with the word steampunk on a Google search. You may find very specific steampunk communities. For example, steampunk music, there might be great groups on that as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you go to a concert, to a band that's somewhat in that style, you'll definitely meet the people who obviously like that.
Oh yeah. A matter of fact, speaking of bands, the Clockwork Giraffe has a very large Discord, a very active Discord server. So, yeah, maybe that's also a place to look. All right.
But otherwise, sorry Alex, I'm disturbing maybe, but if you don't like internet, why don't we start a pen pal club? We can write old-fashioned hand letters or postcards.
Ooh, that is very old-fashioned.
Right.
That's adorable.
Like back in the day, I like this band, do you like this band? Let's exchange addresses.
Sure.
Or we could set up a telegraph network.
Telegraph, Morse code.
It's really hard to fire signals.
Well, they're all awesome ideas. So, if anyone wants to goes to experiment with that kind of thing, let me know. I'd be very interested if that helps out. Let's see. I am. Oh no, wait. There are a couple of more questions. I think Marissa, you're gonna love this question. Can I apply steampunk stuff to my daily life, or is it only for special events?
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, absolutely. I say be brave and go for it. I think even if you work in an environment that has a strict uniform, you can always sneak a little earring or a little brooch. But otherwise, I think it's such an elegant, such a creative, beautiful style that you're not going to offend anybody. And as long as you don't mind all the attention, because you will be looked at, I think absolutely we need little, or big hats and all the wonderful fitted clothing and wonderful shoes. If you just have a look at those, and they're available today. You can buy now in Europe. American Duchess does wonderful selection in America also. So absolutely, I encourage this very much.
All right, Brett, what's your opinion?
Yeah, specifically for guys, the whole kind of hipster trend kind of borrowed some, I think, from the steampunk style, or the Victorian Edwardian style with vests and hats and the old-fashioned mustaches. So there's definitely some things that you can do that are kind of steampunk inspired in your day-to-day life that don't maybe go all out steampunk, but they have hints of steampunk, or look a little steampunk that you can get away with in a day job. So.
All right, Olsen.
It is part of attire. Fun boots, fun jewelry, fun hair accessories. As she'd mentioned, very little of the clothing is offensive, so it fits almost every dress code.
Oh yeah.
And even in your house, adding steampunk decoration with a steampunk lamp or something like that, it can be a way to add a little steampunk to your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there are nowadays guys who customize even your laptop keyboard. You can have an old typewriter keys. So I think it all depends what you want, what you can get or make yourself.
Yeah, I have a steampunk phone cover on my phone.
I could jump in here. Sorry, bud. I got a delay going on, so if I'm interrupting people, I completely apologize for that.
No, it's
but
fine.
Okay, so go to steampunkparliament.com and check out my Teespring shop, because you can get steampunk phone cases, steampunk beach towels, steampunk purses, steampunk t-shirts, and it's all about the design. It's not, you're not going to look at somebody wearing a steampunk emblem on a t-shirt that weird. So there's plenty of independent artists that make their living selling their designs on these kinds of websites. Teespring, Redbubble, Amazon has that now. So definitely check out the independent artists and see what you can find in sort of everyday clothing. It's really a fun journey on the internet.
You can find nowadays everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on websites like
absolutely.
Etsy, you've got all these small creators. Some people who just do it as a hobby, who create and offer for good prices as well. So it doesn't necessarily need to be that expensive.
Right. I'm on Etsy as well. I have things in all different price ranges. I also sell pins. So if you want to just have a very, very small pin of a little steampunk octopus, I can help you out with that. So.
All right. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Okay, question from our Discord. Let's see. Let's start with a lighter one. All right. What is your opinion on insecurities people might have when they're within the steampunk community? Beth, do you have a comment on that?
Okay, don't be insecure at all. If you go into a room full of steampunks and you feel nervous about literally anything that you say or do or look like, just remember that all of these people are crazy and wearing costumes in public. And you're fine, because everybody's very, very nice. Everybody loves weirdos. Everybody's very accepting. I've literally met all kinds of different people, and everybody, as long as you're nice and polite and accepting of other people's differences as well, you have nothing to be worried about. There is nothing to be worried about. And if you mean insecurities like I'm wearing something steampunk down the street and people are going to look at me, then work it, honey. Don't even worry about it.
All right.
There are people dressed in modern clothing, and you can still stare at them like, "What are you wearing?" So.
Imagine.
All right, Muffin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with the first gal. First of all, if you're wearing something that you don't feel comfortable in, or you feel insecure in something, you're wearing the right outfit. Other than that, there shouldn't be any insecurities about entering that type of genre. We're fun, we're silly, we like to play, and it's all very lighthearted. We race teapots in competitions that are dipping biscuits in tea, for Pete's sakes.
All right, Brett, you've got anything to add to that?
Yeah, just I agree. Communities and steampunk is by far the most welcoming and accepting of people at their events and in person. So I don't. I think you shouldn't feel insecure in those environments. I mean, it's hard to tell you how to feel, but people are very welcoming and accepting, and even outside the steampunk community. I have had so many interactions with the general public, introducing them to steampunk, and I can't think of a single negative interaction I've had where somebody said, "That's ridiculous, that's stupid, why are you doing that?" 99% of the time it's, "Wow, that's really cool, that's neat." They connect with it in some way, whether it's the historical aspect or the scientific aspect or just the creativity, the aesthetic. Everybody can connect with steampunk in some way, and so I've never had any kind of negative interactions with people about it.
All right, thank you, Marissa.
I totally agree with what Brett said, that this is we are such a nice community, and even though you may not know the people at the event, you may come completely by yourself and worried, I'm not dressed well enough, there'll be better dressed people. As soon as you enter, you feel so belonging, so right in the place, and everybody will be so nice. You'll meet people instantly. And if you think that maybe something in your outfit is not right, just remember everybody got started somewhere. Chanel started making straw hats. So, you know, you weren't born with a full wardrobe of perfectly functioning accessories of expensive leather work. So I think just go for it. Just go there and meet people and get inspired. And I think the first time you get a compliment from a child at such an event, I think this is the most wonderful audience. Then say, Mommy, I want to be like this princess, and they run to you with those huge eyes. This is so heartwarming, and you just want to go and create 10 more of those. So I think just go for it and don't think once. I had more judgment at an average hip-hop party where they say, why are you wearing this? It's so black. Rather than at any event, right, where we go. So just go for it.
All right. Thank you. Malson, did you want to add something to that?
No, she got it.
Okay. Perfect. Well, then, unless there are any more questions in the chat, I want to go to the final question, which I guess is kind of the most important one, but I think it's a good one to end on. Why get started with steampunk?
Because it's the most fun you'll ever have. The end.
Oh. Thank you. Malson.
Because there is no wrong answer. You can completely create one character, 100 characters. You can be yourself, you cannot be yourself. There are no rules, and I love that. You should be more involved with more people's lives.
Brett.
Well, I can tell you why I got involved in steampunk. It's because it combines 3 or 4 things that I absolutely love. Art and history and science and making all into one hobby. So every other hobby I've had prior to this, I had to lose one of those things. This puts them all together in one hobby. And then I'll add the people, the friendships are just phenomenal. I made some of my best friends through this hobby. So that's why I got into steampunk, why I stay in steampunk.
Very well said. I couldn't agree more. All right, Marissa.
I think it's a great hobby, not just to spend your time in a useful, fun way, but also to broaden your horizons. You learn so much. You learn how to make things. And then once you make something and you wear that in public, it's such a confidence boost. Not many people can, and you can, and it looks great, and you get all those compliments, and you just feel above the whole world. And that feeling is wonderful. And you meet all those people. It's just so great.
All right.
So I think it's harmless. It's a harmless, fun hobby for every budget, for every location.
And every age.
And age, exactly.
Oh yeah, you've got entire families getting involved. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm through the questions. Is there anyone on the panel who wants to have something to end the stream on? Or is everybody good?
Just feel free to follow me on Brett King Steam on Facebook or Instagram.
All right.
Steampunkparliament.com. Please come. You get freebies if you sign up. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. Marissa?
Marisha.com. Wonderful pictures, and please come say hi, online or offline.
All right. Malson?
Mawson Made on Facebook or Mawson Made at eBay. My eBay store has been there for 16 years. I don't plan on moving it anytime soon.
All right.
Just come say hi. Feel free to ask questions. I'm very open.
Yes, I decided to cut the last part of the stream because of my poor audio quality. Don't know what really happened there. It was probably because of the bandwidth. So, yeah, I will... If I ever do something as big as this panel again, I'll probably do audio only. So, lesson learned there. Again, I would like to thank the panelists for being on the show. I hope you viewers found it all useful information. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to ask. And if you appreciate what we do here on Radio Retro Future, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. Now I'd like to take a moment to thank my patrons on Patreon, starting with my sponsors, the Groene Vee Absinthe, Steam Chest and Steamy Wonders. And of course our greatest benefactor, Jax Merrick. As for the other patrons, thank you Feline Lung, Mr. Lotus, Kathy Ma, Marco Leonello and Phoebe Darkling. Thank you all for your support.